Good morning. This is my second good morning, and welcome to the Sunday celebration for the Center for Spiritual Living Space Coast. My name is Reverend Dr. Ron Fox, and I'm the Senior Minister of the Center. And if there's anybody watching this that's never been to a Center for Spiritual Living before, we believe there's one God, many paths to that God, and we're here to love, honor, and support you no matter what your divine path is. And the Center for Spiritual Living Space Coast is a safe haven for people of all beliefs and lifestyles, whoever you are and wherever you may find yourself on your journey of faith, you're welcome here. And I just have a few announcements this morning. Our practitioner this morning is Becky Fox, who is a practitioner emeritus. Our reader is Barbara Loftus. Also, we have a ministry of prayer for those of you that are live here. And if you'd like us to pray for yourself, a friend, a family member, anybody, all of the practitioners and both Reverend Jenna and I would be honored to do it. Just fill out one of the forms and put it in the box. And if you're watching us on Zoom, just let us know, email us or give us a call, and we'd be glad to do that. And our last announcement, my wife Becky's going to come up and give a brief synopsis of the class that she's going to be teaching in September. Operative word, brief.
Okay, I got the message. The class that I'm going to be teaching is called the Emergence, and it's Emergence 7 Steps for Radical Life Change. And it's based on a book by Derek Rydell. It's going to be 5 weeks, and each class is going to be 2 hours long. And so the question is, are you struggling to improve something about yourself, whether it's your health, your mindset, or your relationships? So throw aside all the self-help books and recognize that the answer is already within you. And so Derek's method is based on the ancient principle of life, the law of emergence. And it's like an acorn, is a perfect acorn that becomes a perfect oak tree. And so he's saying that we too have everything that we need to fulfill our potential already within us. So, all we have to do is reach within, allow spirit to emerge through us instead of using our intellect, and just nurture what is already within us. And so this class will take you through all the different stages. We are going to go through Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith's process of visioning, and it's entirely different from all the visualization classes that we've been through. And it's allowing spirit to emerge through us. So it's a wonderful process. So we'll do some journaling, we'll do some guided meditations, some different exercises, some reading in the book. The textbook is Emergence, again, written by Derek Rydell. It's a wonderful book. We are charging $200 if it's paid by August 25th. And it's $225 if you'd like to pay it on September 3rd or 4th. The dates start on Saturday. It's going to be every Saturday in the month of September. So it will be starting, I believe it's September 4th. Yes, September 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th. And the last class is going to be on October 2nd. The time is 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And this is all Eastern time. And for more information, please feel free to give me a call. And my telephone number is 321-474-2237. And as it gets closer to the class, it's going to be online, and the Zoom information will be provided to everybody. Also, for those who are here, the sign-up sheet is in the back, and we'll continue to place it in the back table for anybody who's interested. So now is our time for our spiritual mind treatment. And so we'll just spend some quiet time before we begin. So I just invite everybody to relax, take in some deep breaths, releasing them. And so in this place of stillness, this place of the Most High, it is where each one of us recognizes this one divine power, this infinite love that is always here expressing through each one of us. I'm knowing my oneness in divine power, that it is always expressing through me, as me, and for me. I'm knowing this for each person who is here in the sanctuary and who is watching this on Zoom. That each one of us is the very expression of divine spirit. It's always expressing through us, as us, and for us. And so in this place of gratitude and joy and love, I'm knowing that as this morning is unfolding, it's unfolding in divine perfection, that divine spirit is expressing easily and effortlessly through Reverend Dr. Ron's message this morning. That it is guiding and directing his words, his thoughts, allowing these words to touch our hearts, to deepen our awareness of our higher consciousness. It is providing this space, allowing this divine expression to move through us, emerging through us. So I give thanks. I give thanks for this morning. I give thanks for all that is unfolding right here, right now. I give thanks for each person who is here. And so I release this, knowing that it is already done. And so it is.
Today's reading is from the book, the MacArthur New Testament Commentary, Philippians. Who is responsible for your spiritual growth? Working by the Spirit. Everything in life requires energy. It takes energy to walk and to work. It takes energy to think, to meditate. It takes energy to grow spiritually. Where does the believer get the energy to live a life that is sacred and fruitful? Philippians 2:13 makes it clear that God is the necessary source of that energy we are commanded to expend, saying, quote, "For it is God who works in you to will you to act in order to fulfill his good purpose," end quote. In the words of Galatians 5:25, since we live by the Spirit, let us also walk by the Spirit. So, who is responsible for your spiritual growth? God is responsible for supplying everything you need for life and godliness, and you are responsible for actively using that power to grow. The paradox is found in the believer being both fully responsible and yet fully dependent on God's supply.
Well, you just did my talk. Hey, Ellie. So my title today is, what do you bring to the potluck? So many, I think it'll become obvious why in a minute or two. So many of us look to be fed on the outside. We look for a teacher, or we look for a guru. But as a minister friend of mine once said, the real issue is, what do you bring to the potluck? Not what somebody else brings, or not what somebody else has, but what do you bring? You know, you and I, as Barb just really talked about, you and I are responsible for our own spiritual growth. We can have mentors along the way, but no one else can build our relationship with spirit. That's a solo job. And, you know, years ago, I read about a psychic whose business card read, pay only in cash, bring a blank tape, and don't hold me responsible for your life. That's kind of the message here. So most change happens incrementally. So one of the spiritual practices that we need to develop is patience. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, you know, but the truth is, it takes time to grow in awareness. And very often that growth comes by trial and error, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But persistence counts. We live in a world where people look for instant gratification, but spirit doesn't work like that. We need to be willing to take the time, put in the energy to develop new habits and new ways of being. Ernest Holmes, who founded the Center for Spiritual Living, said that you are the center of power in your life. And I want to give you a quote. He said, every desire you have for betterment in life is some echo from deep within, which proclaims forevermore, behold, I make all things new. You know, Jesus said that the kingdom of God is within us. So what's the kingdom? The kingdom is all potential, it's all life, and it's all peace. So I want to tell you a fable that I read in a book by Reverend Dennis Merritt Jones. And I was talking to Dennis yesterday, and I told him that I was going to use this and give him credit for it. And he said, to tell you the truth, it's a really old fable. I didn't make it up. But anyway, I read it in his book. And here's the fable. Fable is a young fellow, a martial arts student, goes to the master teacher, and he says, I want to learn this art form. Tell me, how long will it take me to reach the highest level of a black belt? And the teacher says, 10 years. And the fellow says to him, I want to do it sooner than that. He says, I want to learn it faster. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll dedicate myself. I'll work all day. I'll practice 10 hours a day. Tell me, how long will it take me if I do it that way? And the master says, well, in that case, it'll take you 20 years. And the point is that to learn anything new, it takes time, it takes discipline, and it takes patience. And patience is a difficult lesson to learn. So I was telling Dennis I was going to tell this story today, and I think I might have told it before here, but it's a lesson about me. So years ago, when Becky and I lived in Southern California, we went to a store in, I forgot if it was Dana Point or Capistrano, and the store's name was Tara's Angels. And it wasn't a big store. And there was a spiritual tour. And the day we went in, there were about 10 people, I would say, in the store, all kind of spread out. And Becky and I wound up on opposite ends of the store. And I happened to pick up a book just at random, and it was a calendar. And for every page that you turned to, there was a gift for the birthday person. So, I mean, I turned to my birthday and I called out to Becky and I said, you know, every page you turn to, there's a gift that you can use spiritually. And I said to her, what do you think my gift is? And she called back to me, patience. And I said to her, how did you guess? And she said, Ron, I'm married to you. At which point everybody in the store fell down laughing. So it's a lesson. And I, you know, I have to tell you this. So the other day we were going out and I tell my friends, if Becky were a car, she would only have first gear. And I've learned it doesn't help to push her and to say we need to go. So I was feeling so proud of myself that I really developed patience and I didn't bug her. I didn't say anything. And so when she finally was ready, I said to her, I've really gotten better, haven't I? I didn't bug you. I didn't push you. And she started to laugh. I said, why are you laughing? She said, do you know how many times you came into the bathroom and said, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? So I guess change happens slowly and I still have a lot to learn. You know, that's my lesson there. Joseph Sharp is a chaplain, or at least he was a chaplain when he wrote the book that I read. That and he tells a story in there of visiting a patient named Jim. I said he was a chaplain in a hospital in Dallas, and he was visiting a patient named Jim, and Jim was literally deathly ill. He wasn't going to live through the weekend. And there were other people in the room, and Jim said to them, I want to speak to the chaplain alone. And he asked everybody to leave. And when they left, he said, chaplain, there's something that I want to say to you. There's something I want you to know. And he said, if I had it to do over again, I'd be more outrageous. I'd give him hell. I'd be more me and less what everybody said I should be. He said, be more myself, be more me. And Joseph Sharp said, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if at some point we could reach a place of spiritual growth where we had it made, where God would say to us, you've learned all your lessons. There's not going to be any more problems for you. There's not going to be any more troubles. From now on, it's just love and light and peace. That ain't going to happen. That is definitely not going to happen. You know, the journey of spiritual growth is ongoing. There's always going to be more lessons to learn. And one of the goals of spiritual growth is to develop wisdom. And wisdom isn't the same thing as knowledge. So let me just give you some definitions. Knowledge is acquiring the facts, accumulation of facts. It's having data. It's having information. Wisdom, on the other hand, is the ability to discern. It's the ability to apply the knowledge and knowing the deeper meaning. I once heard somebody define the definition, the difference between knowledge and wisdom as being knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. So I read an article this week by a lady named Catherine Pearson titled The 7 Secrets of Wise People and How to Become One. So I want to share what she wrote. And it's based, she said her article is based on research by a professor named Monica Ardelt. So here are the seven secrets that she said. The first one is that wise people have a lot of experiences. So kind of the definition in some ways is wise people tend to skew a little bit older in age because experience is one of the cornerstones of wisdom. The second one is that wise people are sponges. They're sponges because it's not just the experiences that matter, it's learning from them. The key is soaking up a lesson wherever you are. Third one is wise people see what's in front of them. And what she means by that is they see the deeper meaning. And the example she used in the article is, we all know that we're going to die someday. Wise people see a deeper meaning in that. They live in a different way. They place the emphasis in their lives on relationships, on spirituality, and on personal growth rather than the superficial things that we see in life. The fourth one is they meditate. We don't really need to talk about that one. I've talked about meditation a lot. Fifth one is they grow from crises. So a lot of wise people have had a heavy trauma experience in their life and they grow from that. However, they don't have to be heavy traumatic experiences. For instance, how do you respond when you have a bad day at work or when somebody cuts you off in traffic? I didn't like that last one. And they reminded me of a quote I saw this week on Reverend Jenna's Facebook page by somebody named Roger Lee, who said, "Life is about balance. Trust that for every dark path you encounter, a better and brighter one is coming next." The sixth thing she said was they have strong support systems. And the seventh one is they're compassionate. They're tolerant. So one of the writers that I really enjoy reading and I like to mention is Alan Cohen. I think he's a wonderful writer. He has a way of talking about deep spiritual issues in a way that's really understandable and relatable. So I was reading one of his books this week, and he said, the question isn't, is there life after death? The real question is there life before death? And he said, how many people eat, go to work, have sex, and die without really having lived? He said, life isn't about how it looks. It's about what's here inside. It's about our sense of purpose. It's about our sense of integrity. It's about our sense of creativity, our sense of vulnerability, our willingness to risk and to be fully present. So I want to do something with you about that last thing that I said about being fully present. So we are going to do a Buddhist practice here. And my wife, Becky, while I'm explaining it, Becky is going to go out and give each person here a grape. If there's anybody at home watching, you can go get a grape, or actually it'll work with any piece of fruit. I'm going to do it with the grape. And what I'd like you guys to do that are getting it, just hold it in your hand for a minute, because we are going, the Buddhist practice that we're going to do is a chewing meditation. So you're going to have to take off your masks too. So I got this, I want to give credit. I got this from a book by Lama Surya Das. And what he says in here, while Becky's passing these out, is chewing meditation is an ancient form of awareness practice. We take this grape, or if you have another, I'm going to keep saying grape now, but if you have another piece of fruit, that'll work too, okay? We take it and we consider it carefully. So as it sits in your hand, take a look at the size and the shape and its weight. Take a look at, you know what, I'm glad you guys didn't take off your masks because I don't want you to eat it, but I'm going to ask you to chew it in a minute. We pay attention to the grape's color, the aroma. Is it a green grape? Is it a red grape, a purple grape? And Surya Das says that the grape to which we're directing our attention, it's amazing. It's amazing. So be mindful, pay more attention to it, and you'll become accustomed to paying more attention to life. So now I'm going to ask you to put it in your mouth and chew it with great care, but do not swallow it, please. Not yet. So let go of everything else that's in your mind and try to focus entirely on the grape. We're only doing what we're doing. We're chewing on a grape. So simple. Pay attention to the grape's flavor and texture. Pay attention to the subtle and not so subtle differences between the pulp of the grape and its chewier skin. Does the grape have seeds? Do they add a bitter note to an otherwise sweet experience? As we continue to chew, we bring all of our faculties of mindfulness to the experience. Notice whatever comes up in your mind in relation to the grape. Notice what comes up and let it go. Just be there with the grape. Be aware of what you're experiencing. Be conscious and be awake. Wakefulness is part of wisdom. Wakefulness is part of wisdom. I'm sorry, I lowered my voice. So now you can swallow. Now you can swallow if you want. And Surya Das says, we want to approach life with this kind of wisdom and this kind of focus. The question is, can we do it? Can we mindfully experience life? Can we know what we're doing as we're doing it? Can we live in the present moment? Can we be fully aware and fully awake? You know, when we do something as simple as chewing a grape, we're training ourselves to see without distortion, to pay attention, to see what is. That is enlightenment. You know, I just have to, I wasn't going to do this, but I just have to mention, I have had a real experience all week in doing that. Almost every meal I have eaten has been a chewing meditation for me because I broke a crown on my lower left and I have a temporary one in there and I'm not supposed to really chew on it. And so I've had to chew on the other side. And every meal I have to sit there and think, chew the right way and really pay attention to what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm going to break the temporary one and be back at the dentist. And I'll say this, it's not easy. It's not easy to just focus on doing one thing and to live our busy lives. It's tough, but it's the way of the spiritual path. So I want to close with something from Ernest Holmes that I read in his book, This Thing Called You. And Ernest says, when we're going through difficult times, this is something that we can say. We can say to ourselves, I know that God in me is perfect. I know that my real nature is spiritual. I know that I exist in a boundless good, in a heavenly state, and in a perfect being. I know that my mind is being acted on by pure spirit. Divine intelligence guides me into peace, happiness, and success, into joy, love, and perfect life. God bless you. Thank you for being here. And I wish you all a wonderful week.